What's up guys, Brett Medlock here. Today I wanted to talk about Metro Exodus, but first, before I jump into that, I wanted to mention I'm going to be at the Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. If you're in that area, I'd love for you to come hang out. It's this April 12th to 14th. It should be a lot of fun. We're doing a panel, gonna do some giveaways and all that stuff. But anyway, I won't waste any more of your time. Here's my thoughts on Metro Exodus. Wow, what a game. Metro Exodus is one of those games that I did not feel the need to rush through, and I simply soaked in its greatness throughout my 13-hour journey. Based on the trailers, I expected to like the game. However, I did not expect to love this game. First off, if you're like me, then you haven't played the previous two games in the series, but don't fret because the game still works as a standalone experience. The story was pretty easy to jump into, and the game sheds some light on the events that happened in the previous games. I have to start off by saying that I love the character interactions in the game. While you don't necessarily interact with other characters, you just sort of stand by and listen to what they have to say. You, the main character, does not actually talk throughout the whole game except during a few load screens. Honestly, I wasn't sure how I felt about this, but as the game went on, it started to bother me less and less. In Metro Exodus, your main central hub is a moving train that's traveling across the world, and what's cool is that all the people on the train are just sort of going with the motions of living their normal life, or how a normal life would be on a train. So you can walk around, hear what people have to say, hang out with your wife, or you can simply skip all the side stuff and mainline the entire game, but I wouldn't recommend doing it that way. Some of the side activities and little stories that these characters tell are actually really interesting and only make the world feel more alive. This is not only a game you should play, but honestly just experience. I personally put myself in the shoes of the main character, and the emotional beats throughout the story really hit me hard. Speaking of story, I'm not going to go into super detail. I just simply don't like diving deep into the story in my reviews because I feel like games are better experienced when you go in as a blank slate. But I will say that the game ends on such a high note that I walked away completely amazed. So let's get down into the nitty-gritty. The voice acting in the game can be hit or miss. There are a few characters, specifically Anna and her dad, that I loved, and I loved their performance as well. However, there are some other side characters on the train who are a little annoying, and you might not like the voice acting that much. Luckily, the world that 4A Games built makes up for any shortcomings. You're going to make your way through a ton of different environments, from snow-topped mountains, to swamps, to wooded areas, to creepy sewers, and yes, they are creepy. This game is freaking scary. I did not expect to be so scared when I was playing this game. I had just played Resident Evil 2 and that game was scary enough. Honestly, Metro Exodus ended up scaring me more than Resident Evil 2, and I think it's because the way the game blends a bunch of different genres into one. There's open world sections where you try to find new armor or new weapons, and then there's linear sections where it feels more like a traditional first-person shooter. And then along with that, there's the action moments or the stealth moments, and who could forget about the traveling simulator? This game is a culmination of a bunch of different stuff, and it somehow works, which is why when I was put into the creepy horror settings, it only made it that much more scarier, because I honestly did not know what to expect. There's a variety of enemies, from swamp monsters to straight zombie looking bears to people trying to kill you. The game had me on the edge of my seat the whole time, and not only in its gameplay, but its story and wacky characters as well. There are moments throughout this game that I'll honestly never forget. Of course, I'm not going to be spoiling anything, but be prepared for some pretty crazy characters. If you didn't know, the Metro games are based on a novel series, but I honestly couldn't tell you if they're actually true to the books. I assume so, or else the games would probably be getting a lot of backlash, but either way, I really love this game world. As I was saying before, there are open segments and then linear segments, which I think really helps out with the game's pacing. Honestly, whenever I hear there's another open world game coming out, I sort of roll my eyes and say, here we go. But with Metro Exodus, there's a good mix of linear segments and calm and collective story moments where it's not just the monotonous open world quest the whole game. While the game is beautiful, unfortunately the graphics don't really stay consistent throughout the whole game. And what I mean by that is sometimes you'll see a super detailed house and that environment alone tells a story, but then there are other times you'll walk into a house and it's just bland brown textures with nothing in the house at all. Overall, I can't really complain about the visuals. The game is mostly gorgeous, although I did experience some bugs throughout my journey. Nothing game breaking, but expect some Bethesda-like glitches throughout your adventure. One thing I I didn't know about when jumping into Metro Exodus was the moral mechanic. Basically, you want to try and not kill as many people as you can, so you want to take the stealth route and knock people out and never really shoot your gun all that much. I did not do this one bit. Now, I wasn't a straight murdering maniac. When people surrendered, I didn't kill them, and when I had the choice to slit their throat or knock them out, I always knocked them out. So I thought I was being pretty nice throughout the game, but sadly I still ended up getting the bad ending. This wouldn't normally bother me because I did kill a lot of people, but getting the bad ending for doing that doesn't really make any sense. The fact that I killed people in the story has nothing to do with how the game ends. Now, if the game's story had something to do with people getting revenge on me for killing their friends and family and stuff, that would make more sense. But they honestly had nothing to do with each other, so the ending did kind of upset me. Although I just watched the good ending on YouTube and pretended like that was the ending I got. I would feel inclined to replay the game, but sadly there's no new game plus mode. I would love to keep all of my upgrades and all of that stuff and maybe play on a harder difficulty and complete the game once again, and this time hopefully without killing innocent people. All in all though, the gameplay feels smooth. I'm not sure how the other games felt, but the shooting mechanics of Metro Exodus feel like a modern shooter that I don't really have any gripes about. I think Metro Exodus is a game you should definitely play, and not only because the gun upgrades are fun, the story is great, the characters are entertaining, and the world is beautiful, but because we're not really getting a lot of single player games like this anymore. As I was playing through Exodus, it kept running through my mind that these developers actually cared about the game they were making. And there are some other games that recently came to the market where it doesn't really seem like that one bit. But that's all I really got to say today, guys. I don't think you'll be let down with this game, so you should definitely check it out, and be sure to subscribe if you like this video. Thanks a lot, and I will talk to you later.